So usually there's a review here, but we want to try something different. So probably just a little podcast talking about some stuff that came up as well as things that we've been thinking about recently. So the biggest news of probably the last couple of days is Amazon not acquiring, but just buying out Whole Foods and buying out that whole operation. And that's like huge here in Boston because everyone loves Whole Foods. It's one of those healthy cities. So like it was on a lot of people's minds, and people were really amped about.
Every yuppie in America got hype about the.
While the rest of America is just like, oh, I was not using that shit anyway.
Like people shop there. But no, the first thing I don't know what the first thing you thought about was. I think I told you this though, but the first thing I thought about was getting high-priced food to my door in like less than 48 hours.
Oh yeah, or like even like within 2 hours, if it's like that Amazon Now thing.
I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah,
I never used Amazon Now.
So like they just brought it to Boston, but like in New York, you could like I remember one time I lost socks somehow, or I forgot to pack them, and I got it in like 2 seconds. I got 2 hours. It wasn't that bad. But if you did that, I feel like that's so dangerous, especially with Whole Foods. I mean, the only thing saving us is that Whole Foods like closes at a certain point. But if that thing was open until like midnight, you might buy one of those cakes.
But they might keep it open later or keep the Amazon fulfillment open later. Because all they got to do is keep a couple people in the stock room, and then boom, you got whatever you want at the click of a button.
Keep some people in the stock room.
Just
be like, sorry about your night, but
exactly. I mean, people are in grocery stores 24/7 anyway. So I don't know. It's gonna be dangerous. But what do you think about it overall as a business move, though?
I mean, from my perspective, they started off with books, and then they started expanding. Right, like books was a really simple product, just like grocery stores was a simple product. But grocery stores are something that's extremely needed in the society, regardless, because.
Not like books.
But the thing is, like, I think it's a good move because it approaches that sort of antiquated model, much like books. But the thing that really made me really think about this was, like in Seaport, like, I mean, you guys probably don't know if you're not from Boston, but in Seaport, there's no really big grocery store there, right?
Right.
And generally, if you live in that area, which has no public transit, has like it's hard to get around, and there's no grocery store, and you're kind of like in that price range of...
It's one of the knocks against the neighborhood. There's no grocery store.
Exactly. But now that there's Whole Foods delivery...
Right.
And those people are already in that price range that might utilize that service...
Right.
And in the price range of Whole Foods...
Right.
It makes so much sense. Like...
It's going to serve that market really well. And then maybe, we talk about this a lot of times, but... the future of retail in general, right? Like, I believe that there is going to be a strong market for retail of some kind. It might be a changing market, but, for grocery stores, for neighborhoods, dense urban neighborhoods, that it's very expensive for only stores like Whole Foods can even get away with getting real estate in these type of neighborhoods to be able to have a store wherever at an Amazon fulfillment operation or whatever, and then be able to get food to your door with people who can afford it. Look, I mean, I think we've talked about this off camera or whatever, but I think Amazon, Google, a few other companies are just so smart. And they are, Facebook, they're the new behemoths, right? Like they have the money, the resources, then the talent to figure out these, to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, because I mean, I think when we were growing up, it was more about like just the best value, right? But with how everything has changed, quality is being extremely marketed. But I think the reason why Whole Foods was the move for Amazon is because they were already trying to disrupt a little bit. Like, I mean, they were one of the first ones to provide it's like there's Trader Joe's, but then they made like a higher echelon of Trader Joe's that had like sort of like boutique items, very high quality items as well. But the thing that I remember, it never got really implemented here, but Whole Foods was very prestigious and the price range was, but what they were trying to do before was introduce 365. So that's one of their brands, but it was supposed to be a 365 store where you could buy like whole food quality at a lower price. So that was to compete with the regular market.
Okay.
So when they introduced that was supposed to be like the thing that would disrupt things, because there was always a dichotomy or a separation between people that just shop regular for value versus Whole Foods, but Whole Foods is trying to bridge that gap with 365.
Right.
So be more like the Trader Joe,
Right.
where people go to for like everyday stuff more often. But I think that was a attraction to Amazon, because they're like, oh, they're already trying to disrupt, and we're going to disrupt this regardless.
So you think they're trying to be able to offer a lower price point?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that they like that idea, because I think with Amazon, the reason why it's really nice is because they have a plethora of options, right?
Right.
But generally people go to Amazon because it's always cheaper.
Or at least you can shop.
Yeah, at least you can shop around. But it gives them an advantage because they were already having issues with their fresh service, because they always try to get it local. But they had to partner with different distributors. But having Whole Foods there, they already have a distribution model. Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes total sense. I honestly don't know, and I haven't read a lot. I haven't read very much at all on what's going on, so this is just all off the top of my head. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense what they're doing.
But I mean, you may have moved to Boston, but like our friends, like especially the ones that are super healthy, and they may not be well off, but they might splurge for that healthy food.
Well, I think I would be interested in seeing the demographics of the people who shop at Whole Foods. And when I say shop, maybe not the people who spend, $300 in a setting, but I know a ton of people go to Whole Foods to get their lunch, or to get a snack, or to get some fruit or whatever. And they may pay that extra margin without even realizing it. But people like Whole Foods. The brand is built on the quality and whatnot. And people already obviously use Amazon. I mean, I think it's just maybe they can help bring some of the prices down a little bit.
Maybe.
Or it won't hurt them as much to do so. I don't know.
The thing that I was really interested about that is it made me think about suburbs, because when I was working in Rochester, Wegmans was huge. It's like a bigger chain. It had very nice quality, but it's in a burb. Like there's never one in the city. Mm-hmm. And then when I went back to the city, Whole Foods was huge, but there was not. It's not really. At least I got the feeling that it wasn't huge in the burbs. Like even when I go home to Seattle, like Seattle has the Whole Foods,
right,
or similar product,
right.
But the burbs have like the Safeways and KFCs, like the other things,
right.
So I'm wondering if
like
that appeal is the same for Whole Foods out there, because I feel like Whole Foods is such like a city prestige thing.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right, and again, this is without any, real data or testing or anything like that. But I think, again, like yuppies, city people who live in the city, who like Whole Foods, who shop at Whole Foods, and who probably, I won't say they use Amazon more, but would use Amazon more for that type of thing. A younger generation who would want food fast, who doesn't mind paying a premium for it, more health conscious. Mm-hmm. When I go to North Carolina or to places like that, for the most part, and it's changing a little bit. It's changing as the years go on, but for the most part, it's about Walmart. It's about getting the best price for your food.
Yeah, like I think the burbs is like that,
and you want decent quality
for sure.
And they might bounce around from grocery store to grocery store trying to find decent quality, or getting certain things at certain stores. But even like in Charlotte, I'm thinking like about my mom and my family and stuff like that. I think it's the people who probably live closer to downtown.
Yeah, it's a city folk.
Who would go to like the Whole Foods and want that type of thing.
Because I would be interested to see if it's going to do anything to those places like Wegmans or wait, Mike.
What
was that place in Ohio that was like the big grocery store? Jungle Gyms. Like there's like these.
What was a Jungle Gym? I never heard of that.
It's like a giant.
I mean, there are two of them.
Yeah, but there's. Are they both in Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently like all these like the burbs and the places like that are not like the major cities in the United States, they have like these gigantic grocery stores that have good quality, and it's like a journey for them. And like if you're in a burb, it's like cool to go to those places because you're like just wandering around and it's air conditioned and all that stuff. you know.
Right. So it's like a destination, like you have fun.
It's 6 acres.
6 acres.
They have a monorail.
What?
They give tours. They have a map.
It's a grocery store?
Mm-hmm.
They gotta have more than groceries.
Look it up.
What's the name of it?
Jungle Gyms. So the second one's bigger than the first. They actually, a mall went out of business.
They
So
they knocked it down.
No.
Oh,
they
okay.
put it in the mall. So you know, they're like the external stores, like the Macy's and stuff.
Yeah.
Those stayed, and the entire interior of the mall is now
Jungle
the store.
Gym
Yep.
International
Yeah,
Market.
that's it.
I've never heard of this in my life.
Well, I mean, it's in Cincinnati. There's no. Yeah, so like they have animatronics in every department that
Are you
they make
serious?
and service in house. Yeah, like they gotta have pictures.
I mean, that elephant already looks creepy, like Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's outside. Yeah.
So the thing is, but the thing is, like,
They gotta have a picture.
is the monorail there because you need to get to different sections?
No,
Okay.
I mean it's in the parking lot. It was Kings Island was getting rid of it, so he bought it for $1. And
So is the monorail just to get people to the mall, or do you have to get to different sections of the?
no, I mean it's not. He's not running it all the time.
Oh, okay. So like, I don't need to take the monorail to go to the produce section.
No.
Okay.
Wow, this is
I mean,
nuts.
6 acres. I was like, maybe they just really like separated it.
Wow, this is nuts. I never. So it's like a.
It's a grocery store.
Yeah.
They just sell.
Everything in the world.
Yeah, basically. Like countries will have sections. Oh, is there a cheese one on the link?
On the link.
Show information. Mm-hmm. Is that the departments?
They got like international. Yeah. Like,
Oh, try specialty.
where's the swell? Hot sauce. Gourmet.
Oh, hot sauces are cool too. But,
What store has a hot sauce section?
oh yeah, so there's you can kind of see it, the fire truck above this section.
Yeah. Oh.
Like legit, this is like a wine
Oh,
selection.
here we go.
Oh yeah, right. They're like alphabetized. I mean, if you like food,
Oh my god.
it's a good place to go. But yeah, I mean, it's not.
It's like Walmart on steroids.
This is like an organized Costco.
Yeah. I mean, I never knew this thing existed.
Yeah.
I mean, right? They have imports. So like, right? If you want any weird thing, I mean, in Boston, New York, you could probably find it. But in Cincinnati, like, where are you finding your weird German shit?
Right.
I don't know if you can find weird German shit in Boston though.
And they have it all.
See, right?
Man, that's crazy.
And everyone shops here.
I mean, well, it's like the store for that suburb area. It's like 40 minutes out of town.
So the other one is like, in terms of their separation, is this like East and West Ohio? Like, is that how they're like separated?
No, I mean they're both in the Cincinnati area. So like,
Oh, they're not even different cities.
No,
Why the hell do you need 2 6 acre?
because I don't know, a mall went out of business and they wanted it. I don't know. I mean, like, why would you do it in the first place?
Man, that's nuts. See, you learn something every day.
The more you know.
Jungle Gym. When I go to Cincinnati,
Yeah.
I gotta stop by.
That time that you always go to Cincinnati,
That
right?
time that I go to Cincinnati, the closest I've ever been to Cincinnati is Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, that's because you probably played football there.
No, I didn't play football. No,
You probably played Louisville.
we did play Louisville.
What's Lake? I just assumed all Southern teams play Southern teams.
We played Louisville, but no, we didn't play them there. So I didn't go there for football. I went there for because the time I'm remembering at least is because my high school teammate got married there
In Cincinnati.
in Louisville.
Oh, so you basically were like, nah, I'm good, bro. You're like, oh, I appreciate the wedding invite, but nah, you good, bro.
No, it was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Oh, so you did go.
I went.
See,
Yeah,
that's sacrifice.
I went.
To me, that's you're a good friend.
No.
I'm just fucking.
So basically, you're shitting on anybody from Louisville or Cincinnati.
Oh no. I'm just saying it because I don't know, but it's just fun.
It was fun. We went out. There's like some clubs downtown. They were dancing and all that type of stuff. It was fun. And
See, but yeah.
his marriage lasted like a year. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Well,
So
You took it to a different way that I was talking about.
I'm gonna stop putting his business out there now, but it was fun at that time.
So I think this is getting a little bit out of hand. So let's talk about the football more, guys.
Okay, you want to talk about football?
I would rather talk about that than talk about this marriage shit.
We get right to the marriage subject.
Got real.
No, we can talk about football. I mean, all right.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that we've been talking about a lot is sports in general, right? Because we just went over this finals, and like I've never seen someone so pissed off at a final, but like at that than you, because like you didn't care about each of these teams, but you just sat there so angry.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm so angry, but I'm disappointed in the level of competition, and I'm kind of disappointed in the way sports, or maybe it's just American sports, is headed right now in terms of it feels to me like it's more about entertainment, and I guess it always has been to a certain extent, but more so now about entertainment, about spectacle than actual competition, and seeing men and women push themselves and compete against, equal opponents or opponents that are better than them, to see what they can do, whether they win or lose. I feel old saying it, but I miss that. I miss that. I don't mind seeing people lose if they play well. You play somebody that's better than you, and you raise your game up, and it's just not good enough for that day. I don't mind that, and obviously everybody knows what LeBron did a couple of years ago, and what KD did, and I don't know. It's just a shame to me. I mean, who didn't think that the Golden State Warriors wouldn't win the championship? So we went through this whole
Cavs fans.
6 months.
Mike.
Delusional people.
Oh.
So we went through this whole 6 months, or whatever the season is, knowing who was going to be the best team, which they were, knowing who was going to be the second best team, which they were. Both teams also combined one game in the playoffs, in the NBA playoffs, the best basketball in the world. We watched a month of it and saw the two best teams lose one game. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the best team swept the second best team pretty much, gentleman's sweep. It's just, I enjoyed watching them play, especially it did get competitive a little bit. But, I just think it could be so much better. And, I'm disappointed in...
I think it really comes down, all that stuff really comes down to the commission and money, because like when you don't have the commission enforce things that improve competition, then it comes down to how do you manage your assets and what assets can you accomplish or can you acquire, because this happens, I think basketball is going through that transformation that baseball did a while ago. Baseball, you have no freaking limitations on contracts. You have no terms, no things to make things parity. Like the richest teams usually win.
Right.
It's not like football where small market teams like Green Bay can win the Super Bowl. It's like baseball is a million games, and you can charge them any amount of money. You can buy your players from an amount of money that you have. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why the Yankees were, I know I'm gonna get a lot of fucking shit from this, but the Yankees were very dominant because they were able to get the assets with the money that they had.
Well, everybody knows that, right?
And the thing is that's why they could build a super team. So the Red Sox beat the Red Sox beat the Yankees, and then they immediately bought two players after they lost, and then they won the next year. Like Johnny Damon, they bought him right away.
Right. So
that's the same thing now. Is that while basketball does have caps, you can still get KD even though you had the second place team from the last year. And
right. Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely think the way it's structured. I should say I like a lot about basketball and what basketball is doing. I think it has
product's good.
The potential to be one of the most popular sports in the world. Yeah. Just because of the way it's played, the free flowing. I mean, I love and hate the 3-point ball. You know what I mean? But Steph Curry is one of my favorite players. I think what it's been able to bring an average fan in, and they can enjoy it, and they can say, hey, that Steph Curry guy, he doesn't look like a Michael Jordan or LeBron James, but he's out there killing it.
It's true.
So I love a lot of that about it. I do not like the way they've structured how the teams and the organizations compete against each other. And I don't even understand all of it, to be honest. I mean, I think the best that I follow is football in that, like with the hard salary cap and those type of things. I think if you're a football fan, your team, for the most part, always has a decent chance.
Well, yeah, because I mean, they do a bunch of things, right? They like the order of the draft picks are in reverse order. What is it? The schedules usually get adjusted unless you're the Patriots. You always have an easy schedule.
Because their division is weak, yeah.
Yeah. So like for most part, they do some parity thing. That goes back to the anyone can win at any point unless you're certain teams.
Right.
That's just management issues. I totally chalk that up to management issues.
We're not naming no names.
No names.
Cleveland.
Yeah, but fucking.
But no, I mean, look, man. I think I'm disappointed. I mean, I'm disappointed in a lot of things. So I'm disappointed in the lack of competition in terms of the way teams are structured in basketball. I'm disappointed as a former football player in the way the direction the league is moving. And, you know, this is not the popular opinion, but how physicality is being taken out of the game. I don't personally like it. I understand it, and I'm sensitive to the head injury subject. I think there becomes a point when it's a different game, you know, and it's more a basketball on turf type of deal.
I mean, even through what you can see, like, it's not the hard-nosed running anymore, right?
Of course.
It's the star. Like, the stars are the people that break away and don't get tackled. Where the tackles occur, like, super de-emphasized because of pain and injury and all that stuff, but also just fact it's just not flashy for the general person. So like, as you and me who have played football in the past and are super passionate about it, like, those things.
I just think sorry to cut you off. I just think one of the most beautiful things in a brutal way, and maybe it's the same thing with boxing, and maybe it's the same thing with MMA. One of the most beautiful parts of the game, even though it's so beautiful, I mean, even though it's so brutal, was the hits. And we still have them. But not only the hits, but the mindset of a guy who is going to keep hitting somebody like that. Whether you play safety or linebacker, or whether you're a running back, or whether you're a receiver going across the middle. What's got to be turned off in your mind where you're like, F it, I'm doing this again. Let's go. You know, when I'm hitting this grown man like this, whether it was Jim Brown, who, you know, a lot of people consider the best player to ever play, just grinding you down. And it's still a part of the game, but it seems like it's becoming less and less. And I don't know. I think that it's the danger, I think, in football is that was football's calling card, right? Like, if you want to see athletic guys run around, catch the ball, you know, tall guys, explosive guys, that's basketball in America, you know? That's basketball guys who can jump and do all that type of stuff. If you want to see guys who, all right, they're athletic, but what you going to do when you put those pads on? That's always the question, right? What you going to do when you get hit? What you going to do when you come across that middle? We know you can throw that ball, but we're going to take them out the game. And now when you even say stuff like that, especially I'm a former defensive guy, like, you know, you're in trouble, you get fined.
But I mean, I think that is the separation between what mainstream likes and then what us as defensive-minded people understand. Like, we started watching it before all of the regulation, and I mean, there's regulation, but it was more pure. But the thing is, with the modern day, like, they're trying to get casual fans because that's the biggest thing, is growth for them. So they're trying to appeal to women, people that don't usually watch it, international people, non-Americans. So that the scoring is a big thing. So like it's fast paced, all that stuff. So that's why people always when they come to Boston, they immediately like the Patriots because they're high paced offense. Tom Brady scores like crazy, and it's always.
See, I disagree. I think they like him because they win.
Well, they win, but it's also
like
offensive minded. Like, what if they? I bet you, like, if it was like a defensive team that won, no one would pay attention.
I don't know, because I think that people are attracted to winners. So,
but they also attracted to scoring.
Who said that? Like, that's what people have said. But football was really popular when the games in let's just say NFL were whatever 24-20 or 16-19 or whatever. Like, it was still really popular. It's been one of the most popular sports for a very, very long time.
But you're getting a bunch of casuals in.
Well, I agree. And look, on TV, it's different too. I mean, I think it's definitely a sport you can appreciate.
Like Red Zone,
up close and personal.
Like Red Zone probably helped a lot with the NFL because it's just like so high paced and you just see the scores. But like I love the hits and I love that stuff. Like it's Seattle's mentality. I'm from Seattle. Like that's all Pete Carroll's thing is just tackling well, tackling hard, and like one of my favorite players, Marshawn. He's just like run through a motherfucker face. All about that action. Like that's the stuff that I'm used to. However, like to the regular person outside of Seattle, like I don't think they appreciate defense. I don't know. Casual fans.
I honestly don't know because maybe they don't. But I think Marshawn is like the highest selling jersey now, right?
It's because he's coming back.
But it's also because of who he is.
Yeah, but he's offense.
He plays offense with a defensive mindset.
Yeah.
When I'm saying he's a beast. That's his, you know what I mean? That's what people like. It's why people watch MMA. Why people watch box. You don't watch it because you don't like hits and you don't like all that shit.
So, but take out Marshawn.
How can I take him out? If he's one of the most popular players in the league.
Look at jersey sales. Top jersey sales. I bet you like they're all quarterbacks. And then maybe fucking what's his face? Odell.
I think Odell's up there.
Dak Prescott is number one? No.
Let's see.
So it's definitely Marshawn's 1. I get it. Tom Brady 2. Dak Prescott 3. With Ezekiel Elliott 4. Deshaun Watson 5. Quarterbacks. Odell Beckham 7. No. Carson Wentz? Hey, what? New York, get out of here. New York, I know he's a quarterback, but come on.
Yeah, so you're right. It's
quarterbacks.
It's mostly quarterbacks and receivers.
Offensives and receivers. Rob Gronkowski. Like when does he get? Von Miller, 18. He's the first one, but he's also like the most marketable guy because he was.
Khalil Mack is the top.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But I would say Von Miller. He had that. He was the MVP of that Super Bowl win, right?
Right.
And he has a big personality. He's on all of the commercials for Madden and all that stuff like that. And he put himself out there.
I mean, look, you're right, and I'm biased. I'm a defensive guy. I played football because I loved guys like Marshawn Lynch, and I wanted to play receiver and quarterback and all that stuff too. That's what they hype when you're watching it as a kid. But I also wanted to lay that big hit on somebody. When I played running back, I wanted to be the one that hit them first, and that's why I liked it even more so than other sports because of the physical nature of it. And I'm worried now for somebody like me, who enjoyed like hitting people. And what outlet do you have as a teenager or whatever where that's okay? Like, I'm gonna be honest, like I went through school some days in high school, and if I was mad at my teacher, I was mad at somebody, I would hold it all in and till I got to football practice, and then I would just go in. Like,
I have a response to that, but I will come back to that after I make this point.
And it was okay. Like, I played a sport where, hey, you can get in a fight, or like I played sports where in college, like, you know what I'm saying, like you're gonna get into a fight with, not necessarily fighting and throwing blows, but you could get to that point where
Chi-town life
with no, I'm talking about in college with
college
with another player, or the coaches aren't nice to you, or it's just experience a part of life to me that's real, and I don't know how much of a good thing it is to take that out of a whole bunch of kids' lives or to change it.
So the thing I see here is that casual fans like the positions where they don't get hit. So like they really like the quarterbacks, they really like the receivers, and it's like when I think about like people growing up right now, people that are not familiar to the game. That's the stuff that's really cool. It's like, oh, they do the touchdown dances, they have a big personalities and all this other stuff. But then then there's another level of when you get the moms that are really concerned about this stuff.
Course.
They see like, and then they see like, especially when moms that are like love their team and love their, like when freaking Cliff Averill like just destroyed Tony Romo in the preseason. He got all these death threats from his mom. He's like, this is not the example I want to set for my children. Blah. And I'm like,
well,
that's the thing. It's like they don't, as much as us as guys and us as familiar, they like that aggression. Like someone's gonna spin it the wrong way. Someone's gonna be like, oh, he intentionally tried to blah. Like it's so violent that and if you're invested in your team, you just immediately think stupid things. Like that.
Exactly. I think those are stupid thoughts.
Like it's a passion. I get the passion. But they tie it in the wrong way.
I think, look, my mom didn't let me play football till I got to high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I grew up with just my mom. She didn't play football. She didn't know what was going on. And she was worried about me. So I get that. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a sport. For the most part, it's pretty safe. A ton of high school, middle school, college kids play football. I know there's some brain injury concerns, so I don't want to speak about stuff that I don't know about. Mm-hmm. But I know hundreds of thousands of kids have played football in some shape or form for, 100 years now? I don't know how old the sport is. And I would like to think it's done more good than harm. At a very high level, like, hey, if you play Division I or, even probably some Division I AA and II and, but definitely Division I and up professional levels, some of those hits that you're going to take are not good for any human being, right?
Yeah.
So I get that. But there's a lot of good to it too in terms of I think teaching. It's a catch-22 for me. Would I want my kid to play?
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
From a high school level, I would say that it builds a lot of character. It is something that is less of a grind than wrestling. So like you get to like challenge your body, but I think it's also one of the more strong ways to get your kid involved in a team, even if they are not good. Because the thing is, basketball is super selective. You got like in high school, I have no idea. You probably got like max 20 dudes.
Right. Yeah.
Less than that probably.
Yeah, probably.
But like in football, even you have 52 people
at least yeah.
on your starting team, and then you got a JV, which is basically a practice squad, which is another set of 52 people. Like.
And we in our high school we had freshmen and sophomore too. So
you just freshmen. Oh yeah.
We had freshman, sophomore teams, and then JV. Yeah, we had JV. I think.
Really, you had 4 football teams?
Sometimes the JV didn't play, but we had 3 at least.
You had 4.
3 to 4. Yeah.
So we had freshman team, JV, and then varsity.
3. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Look, again, I'm biased, so, but. Being around a group of guys, teamwork, smaller teams in your position groups, bigger teams in your side of the ball, bigger teams and getting 3 units, offense, defense, special teams working together, working with coaches, taking directions, working with good coaches, working with bad coaches, working with people who cuss you out, working with people who are real nice to you, working with people who know what they're doing, who don't. You having to learn plays. What other sport? And I know basketball. I mean, I guess there's sports that learn plays, but I don't think it's to the extent, for the most part.
You're not strategizing the same way.
Yeah, of a footballer.
Like I think baseball, no strategy. Like they're.
Well, you should be careful because people are going to get upset about their strategy in other sports.
There is.
But let me just. I think I can sum it up like one of the huge parts besides the physicality of football. I think that made it popular is the strategic aspect, because it's one of the only sports where you have whatever it is, 45 seconds in between plays to actually prepare for the next part of the game.
For sure, it's like it's a strategic war mindset for each play, and I think basketball and soccer, football, both have those aspects, but it's more dynamic. Right. And that's why people like it. You have to change your strategy a lot, for sure, but like it's not the same as, I would say, chess, where you have to actually sit down and calculate each move, and you have a reaction and response in the same way as chess. I think I relate football and chess like as a violent chess.
Right.
Basketball, it's just faster. It would be like a game that requires faster strategy, like something like, I'm trying to think, like Exploding Pigs or like 13 or like Uno. Yo, it's like boom, boom. Like you put that, you drop that draw 4. Like, what am I gonna do? I gotta do it right now.
But you just compare football to chess and basketball to Uno.
I know. That was see, people don't think it's strategy, but like, what did I say? Connect 4. Like, what has strategy that's that
like
fast?
speed chess or speed?
Fine,
or
speed
checkers,
chess. Speed chess.
you know?
I'm sorry.
Like, listen, I think the way, like, just because, look, strategy is a big part of football. It just is. It's a big part of football, and coaching can make a big difference, as we've seen, you know, in the NFL, and you see it in college. The best college coaches continue to win, almost regardless of the school that they go to. There's a lot of good parts about the game, and as somebody who loves it, I hate to see one of the most important parts, the physicality, be taken away. But you know, I see it. Sports have changed, and maybe we just got to change with it. Some things may replace it. We talked about esports, different things like that. But you know, and then kind of to segue a little bit, one of the sports that has, or some of the sports that have changed a lot, are the fighting sports, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest topic right now is Mayweather McGrego. Part 1. Sure, if it does well, you know, we'll probably see 2 and 3. Why not? Because McGregor will have a chance. Like he has another 6 months to train, and he'll be ready this time. And you see when he caught him that one time, like it could have been different. So we may see a couple. I mean, Florida will only be like 45 years old by that time. But
okay, I get it. It's a spectacle. But people have wanted to see this stuff. Like, I know that you don't like.
Do we want to see it?
Most of people want to see this.
Do we, or is it like the only thing?
You sound a little bit like De La Hoya right now.
No, I didn't mind what he said, because look, what about I guess maybe I'm coming from the athlete's perspective more than the fans. What about the sport? Like, a sport is a competition. One guy better than the other, one girl better than the other. Like, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. Like, if we set it up beforehand, that is, or if the odds are so stacked in one, like, as a competitor, why would I get hyped? Do I get hyped like about playing the worst team in the league, or do I get hyped about playing the best team? Like, yo, I'm about to show everybody.
Do you realize we live in Boston right now?
Yeah.
People get hyped about playing the Dolphins.
True.
And the New York teams.
True. Yeah.
Like, they just, like, Patriots fans love beating the shit out of people. Even if it's not competitive. They will sit through every minute and watch this slaughterhouse, even if it's like 54 to 14. Like,
yeah, you're right. I mean, but I missed that, so it hurts me. I'm not mad at Floyd. I'm not mad at the NBA. I'm not mad at KD. You know, get your money, get your championships. I can't hate on that. But I would love to see. If it. I don't know. If it wasn't competitive, like, I wanted to be like Mike Tyson, like a straight killer.
But I mean, so I know. So for me, as an MMA guy, I don't like it because I think McGregor needs to defend belts and maintain the sport. But I'm not gonna hate him on chasing this payday. And for for Mayweather, I can't hate him either for wanting to set this up, because none of the money would make sense in any of the other fights. If he fights Canelo, if he fights Triple G, he fights anyone else. Like if he fights any of those guys, like he won't get the same payday. Even if he fights Manny Pacquiao again, I don't want to see that fight. First of all, I don't think anyone wants to see that fight after how much money was wasted on all that bullshit. But I think that
what's going to make this any different?
No, but the thing is,
except that it's interesting.
Exactly. So the first time it'll be interesting enough that they both get paid at least $100 million. Like,
I mean, I'm not mad at them, but what about us? Like, what are we doing? Like, is this a boxing? Is this boxing? Is this MMA?
I mean,
is this...
people can pay for it. I'm not gonna pay. I'm gonna stream that. I'm gonna stream it, but I'm still gonna watch it though. I have eyes on it because the fact is, it helps both sports regardless. Because boxing's never gonna make that money without Floyd, and MMA gets to hopefully see new fans get engaged through McGregor's shit talking, and like that is good for both sides.
So you're saying it's a great commercial for both companies.
Yeah, it's the exact same way that I see that the NFL plays in London.
Right.
Like, and it's like the worst teams.
No, they had the Steelers there last year. I mean, it's just
yeah, but I mean, it's never been competitive.
Well, it's a
long trip.
flight. Yeah.
But I'm saying that it's exactly like that. All of them do. Everyone does this. You know.
I'm just.
Like think about us. Team USA, right? Team USA. Jordan era, Team USA. Basketball. You watch a whole season. You watch a whole summer of them just wrecking shop.
Right, but why did they do that?
Huh?
Why did they do that?
Well, I mean, you watched it, right?
No, I'm saying, you remember why the team did that? Because they lost with like the amateur players or whatever.
Yeah.
So they had to say, because we're America, we had to be like, yo, don't you forget who we are. We just throwing like second best players out there. When we put this real team together though, we're gonna show you. That's why they did it.
No, I know that's why they did it. But then the thing is, like, as a kid, you had no problem watching people just wreck shop abroad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch it too much, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so the thing is, I think that,
I
like...
get what you're saying. People care about winning more than they care about the actual product.
Yeah.
Which is why people either love or hate. Probably both.
But the thing is, when you look at it,
Floyd.
Even the teams that got fucking wrecked still liked watching that.
What?
Like, when Spain watched Spain versus USA or, like, any other country,
right.
they were still like, oh, shit, we're just watching Michael Jordan at the best Michael Jordan ever. Like, it didn't matter they were down 40 points.
So maybe I think what I hear your argument to me is that I'm taking sports too seriously. Like, sports are more entertainment than I believed when I was a kid, and now as an adult, I have to come to grips with the fact that, my idols and the sports that I idolized are more for escapism than actual competition.
Well, okay, so I think that the competition...
And I'm not saying that competition doesn't exist. I'm saying if there's a scale and it's 50-50, like that entertainment scale is creeping, but maybe it was always maybe it was always 52% entertainment, now it's 55. I don't know.
I mean, competition... I mean, again, I think the competition is still there and there's still values there. However, I think that behind all these companies, there's always some sort of entertainment company, whether it is a broadcasting studio or a production studio, or talent agency. Like freaking UFC got acquired by WPA or WPG, some that huge talent agency. So like now it's becoming more Hollywood. They're focusing on the personalities and more stuff like that. But NFL is its own brand, but it has all these broadcasting deals. So they like emphasize the entertainment side, like talking about the stories. Like they didn't talk about the stories back then.
No,
but now they do because it helps.
And I guess I'm getting sad now, but if I think about it, one of the reasons that I fell in love with the NFL is because of NFL films. And even the people who know the history way better than I do of the NFL said NFL films changed the trajectory of that league because they created these great stories and the music. And I mean, look, when you're a kid and when you're getting all that propaganda, which is what it is, and these are the greatest players of all time, and the Green Bay Packers and Lambeau Field, and like I mean, it's crazy. Like, you don't want anything else but to be a part of that. So I can't lie to myself. I mean, the most popular boxer of all time is Muhammad Ali. It's for, in addition to his greatness, in the ring, it's his greatness as a talker. His greatness, in terms of his political and social stance. It's much bigger than that, Mike Tyson was a character, Deion Sanders, Jordan in his own way, even though he wasn't the most vocal person, he was just the coolest guy on the planet. And that, you know what I mean? People liked him more than Patrick Ewing. It's sad. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, I get it. Like you don't have the whole spectacle of it. But so I think that the spectacle is fine, but not all the time, right? Like UFC is having that issue. Like they're trying to make spectacle fights all the time. But like I think that there are certain things within each sport that there are spectacles, and they happen probably once a year, once, twice, 3 times a year, and it helps promote the sport. So like again, like you have for football, you have the All-Star game. And even whatever new products they're coming out with, or basketball and baseball, they have those too. They're completely useless, but they help promote the sport. And it's the same thing with the Olympics. Like there's competition there.
That's a good way to look at this. So this is like an all-star game. This is like a exhibition.
Exactly. Like there's no implications on titles. There's nothing.
In an exhibition, they're getting paid $100 million or more or whatever to do. Like
I mean, it's a spectacle fight. It's like I would be like, yeah. But the thing is, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think that these things help the sports, and they all need them because people need to. You need to attract to the casuals, right? And as a casual person, especially if you don't follow the fight game, this is like the biggest thing to happen to fight sports in a while. Like everyone's talking about it. You'll get casuals that'll just like start reading about it, start getting hyped for it, just because everyone's talking about it.
Okay. I mean, I can buy that, and I'm surprised that I'm somewhat agreeing with you. But if I look at it I think that's a good way, as an all-star game or as an exhibition, or as something to bring people into it, I can get on board with that. It's not that I wasn't on board with it anyway. It wasn't that I wasn't going to watch it. It's just, I guess when I think about having sons or teaching kids, if they want to get into boxing, if they want to get into football, if they want to get into MMA or wrestling, my first question to them is, all right, what's in that head? Like, are you ready for that?
Yeah.
And which I think is a good thing, if that's the type of thing that you want to do, or if you're that type of kid. I don't know and maybe I'm scared of the world where there is none of that for those kids who want to fight, who want to hit someone. So that's
I think that like in those instances, I think that like you talked about this before, like how do you get that aggression out? And there are other ways that are not those means. Like I'm not gonna say MMA is the best thing, but you could definitely do wrestling and get a lot less injury. Like I mean, you definitely go through shit. You get cauliflower ear, you might get a concussion if you get dumped on, but like your risk is lower. Like
true. And that's what I'm saying. The sports might die out.
You tap or you tap or you just lose on points. You don't necessarily get knocked out. Like I think that's the thing is all these sports that we play, it's really easy to grasp these. And then if you look at the popularity of sports, it's really simple, and then it gets complicated at football. Right. Like it's very hard for the people to grasp that, and that's why it can't make that hurdle. And then I think with fighting sports, it's the same way, except for boxing, it's like probably the easiest thing to understand. Like you get punched in the face, you get pointed, all that stuff. You get knocked out, you're done. Like you lose. But like all these other sports, like wrestling and like anything that has like an obscure word, like I would even say like it's like curling. Like you're not gonna get that because you don't know what the hell's going on, but you'll still watch it if it's on TV. But like for MMA and like football, like it's harder to make that gap because there's so many rules and it's more obscure. So like people love MMA when it's on the feet because they understand. Like someone gets the same thing as boxing, you get knocked out, you get knocked out. You get hit in the face, you hit in the face. But then once it goes to the ground, people used to boo. Like before jiu-jitsu got bigger and people started understanding grappling more, people were like, boo. Just bleed.
Yeah. I mean, look.
But you wrestled, so you wrestled. You understand the grind of it. But like, try to explain wrestling to someone that's like a casual.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's harder to understand, but it's like I guess I don't know. When I wrestled, I understood that it wasn't going to be the most popular sport because it is difficult to understand. You know, there is action, but it's you have to really understand it to get the action or to get why this guy is way better than that guy. But I think MMA did an amazing job taking those type of grappling sports and making it popular because people have been trying to do it for years. You know, wrestling, martial arts, all those type of things have been popular in small segments, like almost since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But to make it popular to the masses,
it's harder.
I think it's amazing what they've done. So listen, I'm not hating on anybody. I guess I'm getting nostalgic in my old age because sports have changed, right? And you never freaking think I fell in love with sports when I was a teenager or in middle school or whatever, watching these great stories and Michael Jordan and college football on Saturday mornings and the NFL on Sundays, and then watch NFL films. And, things are a little different now. So it may be different sports.
I think there are good stories. I mean,
there's great stories.
There's definitely great stories. And I think that's like, I hope with the UFC moving with this parent company now, like that those stories get exposed more. Because Showtime does a really good job of showing Mayweather's story. However, there ain't no struggle there anymore, bro. Like, you got like silk walls.
Yeah, well, cool. His story is not the struggle, though.
Yeah, his story is the aspiration, right? Like, we all aspire to have something like that, or that level, or like that comfort, that lack of insecurity, right? Like that stuff. That's
and the fact that he's undefeated too.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think people, like most people, watch. I think that Mayweather fights are because a lot of people hate him or used to hate him or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about who was saying it? Kellerman, I think, was saying it.
Max Kellerman.
That half the people that watch Floyd, maybe more than half, watch him because they want to see him lose or because they hate him. And I've heard people talk about it just recently, like, oh, that fucking guy, he gets on my nerves, but he's funny though. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's true. Like, he can put on a show.
It's the exact same shit as Mayweather or McGrego.
Right. Right.
And he's Irish as fuck.
But what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And again, this is where I gotta let my ego go, and maybe entertainment is better than sport. Maybe that's what it is. Entertainment as a genre is better than sport, and sport is just a part of this huge thing called entertainment. And if you're not cool with that, hey, if you want to watch sports and you want to watch kids rise from the dirt and try to do it, then maybe you need to go to a high school game. You know what I mean? But if you want to get entertained, we're looking at the best entertainers in the world. But what I was going to say real quick, I'll let you go, is that...
Kanye shit on me.
Kanye?
You're like, hold on.
Yeah. I'll let you go in a minute. I'm in my mode. Hold on. But I was more interested in watching First Take. I'm even throwing a little plug for Fox because I think First Take ESPN is making some mistakes, but FS1, the show with Shannon and Skip, I was more interested in watching the memes that came across Facebook and
in relation to the finals. In
relation to watching basketball, I was more interested in watching First Take talk about it the next day, or see the meme that came up with Boys in the Hood and LeBron and Steph and all them, or just seeing what Draymond would say.
Yeah,
I watched quarters here and there of the finals, but I always watch my stuff coming across social media. And I think that's the world we're living in, where the other stuff that is to me is more interesting than the sport, because the sport isn't as sporty competitive anymore.
I mean, it all comes down to entertainment, because entertainment sells other products, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the same thing with anything you think about. Like, even think about children's shows. This is probably the weirdest thing I learned. There was they do have popular shows that have cult followings and all this stuff, but they still cancel them. You know why? Not that they're not entertaining. It's because they don't sell merch. So
but even the small shows don't sell.
I mean, no. It depends. Like, even big shows that don't sell merch.
Oh, they get rid of them.
They get rid of them. This is one of the things. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but kids used to watch Teen Titans, and it was a cool show, and it was built to go towards male boys buy toys. But the following, actually, they got different viewership. They got a bunch of girls coming in watching it because they liked the stories. The stories were well written. They tied together. They went through emotional depth. It was not just all actions. Like, it was getting a female following, and apparently, if it is, they're stupid. But they're like, girls don't buy toys. Boys buy toys. Canceled it, even though it was like one of the highest watched cartoons. So like that's the same thing here. It's like, it's only cool if you can sell shit outside of the actual product, because that's what gets it. Like, like Marvel, they still make a ton of freaking money on the movie itself, but they make a ton of money on merchandise, toys, and all that other stuff, T-shirts, licensing agreements with clothing companies and stuff like that. Like, they make a bunch of money on that stuff, and it's the same thing. Like, the jerseys are a huge thing for the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right, and you know, my mood has changed a little bit. I'm getting a little. I mean, I'm a little sad. I mean, but yeah, you know, money runs it. If nobody's watching the NFL, we wouldn't know about the NFL. If nobody's watching this stuff, McGrego and Mayweather could fight every day of the week, and we wouldn't care. So,
and I think that's as much as I disagree with Dana White and the UFC, I think that he did a great job about still promoting the brand without selling merch. Because like before they got that Reebok brand, like what the hell would you what would you sell in MMA? Like, you can't sell anything except for pay-per-views.
right.
It's the same thing with boxing, and I think that's why Mayweather, he's probably the first guy to merchandise stuff, make a brand around himself. So he's that money team, like he's selling those hats, those shirts, he's making a brand around himself, and he could do that because he didn't have all those people. But like, I don't know, like, despite not having that merch to sell, like Dana White did a good job of managing and growing that sport outside of that merchandising and outside of that sort of promotion. So I'll give him that. He helped to get to where it is, but now it's kind of weird because people don't get the fights. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I think when you talk about money in sports, you know, I immediately think of Michael Jordan. I just thought of Tiger Woods. I think
not anymore.
Well, but yeah, still probably is up there with. I'm guessing top 1 or 2 earners. And well, actually Mayweather's up there too. But anyway, these guys had their own brand. Michael and Tiger through Nike, obviously. But they're all sports where you can see the person.
Yeah.
The person got extra swag. Like, it ain't just like some big like hulking dude. It's, you know, or the boxers like Muhammad Ali, those type of guys. What is the camera running out?
I don't know. I'm just gonna re-record again.
What happened?
I think it died because it overheated, but like I can just figure out what's going on after that.
Oh, we don't know where it died?
I don't know where it died.
Oh shit. Okay.
Wait, the battery's fine. It's just overheated.
But we still have the
audio. I'll just like put in beat. We'll figure it out.
Oh, did you see when it got?
No, I was just like wondering because I wanted to check if it was working still.
Is there a red light on there?
No. It's just recording. It's just like I was like, I feel like it would have overheated at that point.
Okay.
But I think it's fine.
Well, I can take a drink break there.
All right. Let me see. How far did you get, guy? Good.
Joey Diaz on dog.
I think we got most of it. Let's see what happens. 10, 12, 13. I think we got most of it because I think like when we were talking about it earlier, it was like 47 or something. Mm-hmm. So let's see where it died. Like when I was looking at the time and all that stuff, we were at 47. So it died exactly at 30.
So we missed 17 minutes?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I don't know. I can figure it out though.
We just put clips up this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put up images and stuff for 17 minutes. But yeah.
You're gonna have one go through the whole podcast then.
Huh?
You're gonna have one go through the whole podcast.
What do you mean?
Like just one big video of the whole podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can split it up.
17 minutes, or we could just have our pictures, take a good, cool picture, and put it there for the rest of the 17 minutes. Like technical difficulty.
Yeah. Alright. Or maybe it just cuts at every half an hour. Every 30 minutes.
Like it stops?
Like it just does it.
No way, because you said it went to 37.
No, 47 is like on our actual voice. Are you still recording? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Les, why are you always drinking? Is it hitting you?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so where were we?
We're talking about sports, but it's making me sad, so let's move on to something else.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry to bring this up, and it's still sports related, but like, the reason why I went back into the stories is because like, outside of the freaking hype and all this shit, like McGrego talking all this crap, like, he's a talented guy, but I freaking hate him for the longest time until the reporters started asking the right questions, and it like dived into his past, right?
Yeah.
Like he was on welfare, his girlfriend stayed with him the entire time and believed in things, and he wanted more out of life. So the thing that like, I listen to all this stuff because I want to give him a chance. It's the same thing with Mayweather. Like, I hated the guy because he was like, when he was younger, he was a little bit racist.
Stories change people.
Yeah, so then you hear his story, the Olympics, all that stuff, but even just like you hear him evolve and get older.
We understand our racist uncle or brother or whatever, dad, mom, and we understand that there's more to him than that, and that's why these.
But the thing is,
stories
no
are
one would
key.
know, and I think it's also because Floyd grew as an individual, going through all that stuff.
Of course, he's grown up.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. So McGregor, I just thought he was a big mouth, like annoying. Like I mean, I'm mad that he doesn't defend his belts. He just kind of finds the biggest fights. But I don't knock him on, but it's just annoying. But like the more I listen to these things, he would talk about like ways that he tried to improve his situation all the time. And I think that this is something that a lot of people don't do. It's like he visualized about better days. He visualized wanting to provide for this woman that has always been there for him, even if he messed up or if he wasn't giving her all the things that he wanted. And like that was kind of touching to me, but it also like brought me into the whole thing of like how much that positivity is important, like having that support system, as well as like having that mentality that you can get out of whatever you are at. Like that kind of made me get close to him because one, I relate to that, but it's also the fact that it's not just this talk. There's stuff behind it.
Yeah, well, going back to sports real quick, I think that's the great part about sports for kids and for all of us, right?
Yeah.
We can see a person who has accomplished things that we want to accomplish, and we can dissect their mindset, their physical actions, their mental actions all the way through. Mm-hmm. But that's as far as visualization, positive thoughts, just being positive in general, surrounding yourself with positive people. I mean, this has really since I've been little, this has been kind of what I've been about. But honestly, over the past probably even 10 years or so, I haven't been as serious about it until this past year or two. Because went through some stuff personally that was tougher for me, and maybe it was actually a good thing because you really start to say, and I'm sure when McGrego was going through his thing, like, all right, what do I want, and how am I going to get there, and what do I need to do to change? And it is kind of like sports in that if I got to go run 10 miles or swim or go hit a 250-pound dude, what's my mindset to get me to go do that every day, or to get me to go train to do that every day?
Yeah.
If I'm like Floyd and I have one fight a year or two fights a year, what makes me do it every single day, put my body through pain? But anyway, I think as far as like living life, the thing that has kept me going, because life's pains are different than kind of physical and sports pains usually, but keep you motivated on the day to day is these positive thoughts, putting yourself around positive people, separating yourself from negative people, which is, it's
hard balance to strike.
It's a really hard thing to do. I'm gonna shout out Gary V. Maybe he'll listen to this podcast, or maybe one day he'll listen to it. I'll get to meet you. Man, you've done a lot in my life. But one of the things you said is cut one of your negative friends, or if you have 5 friends, I don't know, I'm getting the quote wrong, but if you have 5 friends, cut one. Like if you're not where you want to be, cut it. And man, that's harsh advice.
I think like we're on the same page where like before, when we didn't really analyze it, and this is like an ego thing too, like you want to save everybody, you want to be that hero to everybody, and that was my MO for a while.
And dudes do this with women too.
I mean, with women too, but I mean, just in general, like.
And women do it with men. Let me not get that. Let me not. Hey, there's a lot of women who saved some or tried to save some terrible men. But anyway, go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I think everyone wants to be the hero, and I think that drives a lot of our actions. And it's like, but it's a perception thing, right? It's not about necessarily like, this is the good thing to do. It's sometimes you're just like, oh, that doesn't make me look a certain way. Or like, oh, like that's what I should do because that's what's expected of me from the things. Like, and I agree with that. Like, I mean, I think that for the people that I cared about, I tried to be there for them as much as possible, and things like that. Like, even if it's like some people that I haven't talked to in a while, when I see them, I'll make sure that I make that for last time. But the thing is, if that person's refusing to be positive, like you can't. Like, as much as like you want to be there for them, you have a ton of history. And it makes sense to be there for them. If they're not willing to, if you're trying to bring them up and they're not willing to come with you, they would rather you drag you through the mud, I think you need to make a hard decision there. Like, again, I don't want you to turn your back on your friends or anything like that, but it's more of like, is that person trying to get help at the moment? Are they looking for someone to listen to, or are they just trying to dump on someone? Are they just trying to use you as a punching bag so that they feel better, or just have this like be there with them in their misery, but also just sink? Like, I'm fine. I'll be there for you 100%. I just want to make sure that the more that we hang out together, things are going to get better. Like we're working together, our interactions together make you happy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think, and it's even kind of hard for me to say this because my friendships have been so important to me throughout the years, but I think I'm even more hardcore about it than you. I think I'm more, maybe I'm not to Gary V's level yet, but I think I'm heading there fast in terms of, hey, let him go. Because, the truth is that, some people are just, maybe they're not going to, some people are just negative, or some people maybe you don't need to be around, and we all become friends for different reasons. We've been put in each other's lives in all different types of ways. But I mean, like, for instance, I grew up with, well, I didn't grow up, but one of my uncles was on drugs, right?
Yep.
And if anybody's had a family member that's had a real addiction to drugs to a point where, they're stealing from their family and all this type of stuff, no matter how could you be friends with someone like that? Like, I just now, I mean, he got off drugs, but I just now have started trying to build a relationship. But it's not because like I dislike him. I mean, he was, by the way, this is my favorite uncle. My best, treated me and my brother the best, did anything for us. But just when this bug hit him, he became a different person. But my point is, not to say that our friends are like that, but I think there's certain things that it's okay to walk away from. And it's been hard for me to come to grips with that. But it's not that I don't love you, but I think that, there's different, relationships that are appropriate, at different points in time.
And I mean, I think like I don't have it. I mean, I have it on the uncle side, but like they're more extended. They're easier to they're easy to push off. But like with like people that we've like made like strong friends with, like people dropped off, they came back, and generally we're pretty open to hanging with them. But I think it's every time we hang out, it has to be about this topic, or it has to be like everyone has to be involved in this thing, rather than like us having fun and us enjoying our time together that we haven't had in a while. Like I think that like once they have put themselves in a position where they don't want to listen to anything, they don't want to register anything that anyone has to say, or the biggest one for me, or bring down that ego and just self-evaluate. Then it's like if they're not willing to help themselves or like think about themselves in a negative way, then I think they're not ready for your help. I think once they're ready, totally help them. But if they're not ready, you're not gonna be able to talk to them. If anything, you're just gonna feel crappier because you're gonna try to fight this battle, and they're just gonna bring you down. Intentionally or not intentionally.
Well, that's the one thing that I hate. And again, we've talked about it in detail with like some of the people that we're talking about and whatnot. But when they make you feel bad for not being there in the same way that you once were, no matter if the way that you were there for someone was healthy or not, or good for both of you or not, when you're not, when you don't do the same drugs no more, like they make you feel bad, like you did a bad thing because you don't do the same shit that you used to do, or you don't treat them the same way.
They hold that past over your head, and it's stupid because I feel like that past was a golden moment, right?
Right.
Like of you guys' friends, because you guys were tighter and friends. That like it shows how much is capable. But they hold you against that standard because something has changed recently, and I think that's super unfair because of the fact that like again they are focusing so much on themselves that they are seeing what you did for them, right? But they never ask the question of like, was I reciprocative? Did I reciprocate in the same way?
Well, I think the question for us, or if you're on the receiving end of a bad friendship for whatever reason, like how do you handle it? What do you do? And when is giving too much? When are you giving too much of your time, your emotion, whatever it may be in a friendship? How do you know?
It's hard. I mean, dude, I struggled around that decision for a while to like, what do I do with this person? I just cut it. I did. Not without regret. I mean, I do check on the person like through my own means, but like, I just cut it because it's like,
cut it.
You need to cut. Like legit, like, she's a good friend, and like you know her well, and like. But the thing, she dropped off for 2 years, like, and then she came back and we were there as much as we could. But like, I think it's just being honest with how much you can take, and how much you can help. Because, yeah, like, as much as if you can't take it, don't do it. Even if you think it's the right thing to do, like, it's just gonna make you worse, and you won't be able to help them properly. And then, how much it's worth in the end is how much it can help in the end is a different story. Because if you keep feeding something that's never gonna be that's never gonna be satiated, you're just gonna run out of food.
Right. Well, I think what you're getting to, I think it cut off.
This big.
Maybe it does it every 30 minutes.
I don't think that's 30 minutes though, but I think it's overheating. It's hot. Try again.
So how do they film long stuff?
Oh, because they have a camera that's bigger than this thing.
Oh.
Battery exhaust. Oh, the battery died.
There you go.
Not overheating. Continue.
I mean, when we're talking about friends, it's
hard.
It's
so real.
Well, you know, my mom used to always tell me, shoot, I can't even remember now. But it was, she used to keep it pretty real. She was like, friends come and go. But you know, I always really didn't look at it like that. I looked at especially my boys that I grew up with, you know, that we'd be friends for life. But it's hard when that stuff starts coming true. And I think as you get older, it starts coming true with sometimes people that you're really close to.
Yeah.
And maybe a lot of it is, because it's because you want to take negative stuff. Hopefully you're not like getting rid of good friends. But
I mean, it's about taking the right steps. Right?
Yeah, but if you so here's the real dilemma. Okay.
Yep.
I, Jason Carter, want to slowly but surely, or fastly but surely, remove all negativity from my life, or at least the vast majority of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love you as a friend, but you're negative.
Yeah.
So now I have two competing objectives, right? I want to remove all negativity from my life, but I love you, which is a positive thing, but you're negative. So that thing, that
it's not even negative. I think it's a describe negative because people get negative.
People go up and down, but I'm saying I guess if the only way objectively to do it is 50-50, you're more negative than you are positive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but when I talk to you, you're more negative than positive. I'm trying to remove all negativity from my life, or at least the majority of it, and I know that by me having a friendship with you, you're not a robot, right? Like you have positive emotions, you have negative emotions or whatever. But as me trying to cope with the stress and the struggle of life, I've said, you know what, the best way to do it is to push everything negative out, cope with, the good things, the bad things that are going on, and then move on to the next one. If all of a sudden now, how can I do that? Because my mind is so powerful when I'm spending my precious time, we only got 24 hours a day, with someone who's constantly talking about negative things. Not talking about the solution to the problem, just dwelling on the problem. Yeah. Complaining.
I mean, if you're not solution oriented, it's definitely it's complaining at that point, because you're not trying to get better. You're not trying to figure out how to get out of it. I'll give some caveats here that, like, when you lose someone, it's different because there's no solution there. There is understanding and getting there, and I'll give them the patience in that one. But when you talk to me about girl issues, or if you talk to me about like money issues, if you talk to me about like my cat issues, like if you talk about dumb shit, like, oh my god.
Well, at what point, and some of these lines aren't drawn in the sand, right?
Yeah.
So, but at what point are you adequately grieving or empathizing with your friend, versus what point is it just a sad, sap complaining session where I like fucking talking about my problems. Like, I like talking about my problems. Certain things can be, I think almost anything that you do every day can become a high, or at the very least soothing to you, right? Whether it's like, bringing the cigarette up or scratching your back, I don't know. But you can't stop doing it because it's a high. Now, if we're getting to a point where complaining and bitching and moaning about life, like everyday life, breaking up with girlfriends, whatever, that's what we do every day, that's our coping mechanism, then, hey, in my opinion, hey, we can't do this anymore. Like, in terms of we can't talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if, I'm kind of busy right now. This might not be the best time to talk, No,
I understand that. I think you gotta be very honest about what it is, and if the importance and gravity to that person. And some people are young, not physically, but like emotionally. So like things may seem more grave than they are. Like, again, relationship stuff, cat stuff, like.
Yeah, man, it's a tough subject, but I know.
This is the things with me, I would say that, like, when I'm going through an issue, like I think my friends understand that I'm gonna be weak at points, and that night might be like sucky. Like I might just text you and be like, I don't know what to do, blah, cry face. But like eventually, like I think in the grand scheme of things, I try not to burden them with that, or like they try not, or at least if I'm talking to them, I'll be like, it's been really hard, but I'm trying this and this to get over it. Like, what do you think? Just like talk to me about that stuff. So I'll do that, and that makes me that doesn't burden them. But like, I think I have this comic book theory of like, with my life and how I interact with my friends, is that like I have this comic book, these comic strips, and like sad things do help build character development, and they're good times every now and then. But you don't want a whole freaking manga or whole freaking comic book about sad stuff without anything that's like cool or action or like happy stuff, because it needs to have that balance, but it can't be 50-50 even. It needs to be like 20%, 10% for those times. Like, ooh, Captain America dies, or like...
Right, it's just like the
that.
person, even though I try to be positive all the time, is the person that's super hype about everything. The Tim Tebow, for the most part, is corny, right?
It is.
Like, you think, like, you know, some bad shit happened to you at some point. Like, you know, you want to be a real person, right? Like, we all have that. But I think you're right. I like the analogy of the comic book, when it's chapter after chapter after chapter of this negative person. Like, they better be funny. They better be like something, but like help something happen.
Wait. This is similar because I don't know why we watched all of it, but like maybe it's because we were worried about the mystery. But remember when we watched 13 Ways?
Yeah.
That is kind of like every chapter is freaking depressing as shit. And then the end of it was just like, oh my god, this is not getting any better. This is worse.
Yeah, that was a depressing show.
But it was, I think the mystery was the only thing keeping us in there.
Yeah.
But that just got worse and worse and worse, and I was like, fa la 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 la, no action, just.
Oh man, we can talk about that forever.
So many mentally scarring lives.
Oh my god. And what might happen next season?
Yeah, we don't fucking. Getting worse. It's sadder.
All right, what else do we have to talk about?
We went on that tangent. I mean, that was basically like, I don't even know. We can talk about whatever, but I mean, it's been what? And almost an hour and a half.
Oh, we got plenty of material in
We're just gonna do it all now. We do 5-hour podcast.
I mean, we might have to cut it down, but we can do it all night. But I don't know. We want something so we can end, so we'll figure something out. You want to end it like talking about some Boston restaurants we visited?
Let's think about that. How does that help?
Oh.
I think we need to do it. We need to do a podcast around Boston and like cities and real estate, because I feel like that should be definitely something that would be better grouped together. So we've been talking mostly about shitty people and sports and a little bit of business.
Okay. I don't know. We could just do final thoughts on, people in your lives.
Yo, let me just rate these people. Let me just rate you. Yeah, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm worried about the people conversation because.
No, I think we touched on it in a broad sense.
Right, but I don't think people know us well enough to, it does take some pretty candid stories to.
I mean, it does. I think that there's definitely no context there, but I think we get our point across, and if people don't get it, it's because there's some context missing, and I mean, obviously that's something for another day. But I mean, I think the big thing for me is and it's a trend amongst these people, I think, is that there's a sense of ego. It sounds stupid and it sounds mean, but when it's about petty stuff and it's ruining your life and you're not willing to approach it, you're running away from it. And I think this is what I'm talking. I talked to one of my friends about this, that there are people used to say there's a fight or flight response, right? I would agree that I would disagree and say there's three. There's fight, flight, and freeze. And those people that freeze are not the worst, but they're very, very hard to deal with. If you fight, that's fine. We fight, we care about each other, we talk, we communicate. If you flee, okay, we might not communicate, but I know that at least you're trying to do something to get your mind right, or do something that preserves yourself as a human being. If you freeze,
getyourmindright.com.
Yeah, if you freeze, that's the worst, because there's no benefit for you. You don't talk it through.
You're useless.
You don't get the hell out of there. You just freeze and get eaten by the bear.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can disagree with.
But I think that the thing with that is that that's not because I think part of that is because it's not freeze, like literally I'm in shock, I don't know what I'm doing. It's freeze as in they're unwilling to do one thing or the other thing. They just want to be in this spot.
Right. Because look, I think we get scared and we talk about fight, and fear, right?
Freeze.
This is where I think people get scared, man. They get scared of taking the next step in their life, which may involve self-reflection, where they get scared of making the same mistakes that their parents made, or in relationships, or making the same mistakes that they made in the past. And this might be the real thing to it, if you keep moving, right, and they want to stay in this space, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, educationally, financially, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now you're in the space over here and they're still here, and they get mad because maybe they're not ready to face themselves, to attack these things, right? Because it takes work to get past certain hurdles.
It's work, but it's also like honesty with yourself. Like I think the ego thing always
starts with yourself.
The ego thing comes back to so much of this thing of like, they're like, oh, I don't need to look at myself because I am myself. But people don't look at themselves enough, and they don't like. You gotta like hate yourself a little bit at times. You can't love yourself so much that you're just like, I'm the shit. It's someone else's problem. It's someone else's problem. It's this thing's problem. Like you need to take responsibility for.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't think of it as hating yourself, but I do understand. I think what your intent is you have to self-evaluate honestly.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like what you see.
Even if you don't, yeah. And that comes back to what we were talking about like the self-authoring thing, but where you just write down like the bad thing that happened in your life and just track it back all the way to like where it sucked or where it started and how your decisions impacted things and how you do things differently.
You told me about this. I think you read about it or whatever, but maybe you can explain like why someone would do this, how they would do it. Because I don't think you've gone over it a little bit with me, but not.
I mean, so it's like there's a traumatic part in your life, right?
And we all have trauma.
Let me see if this is a battery overheat or not. Or not. I think it's an overheat because I think we're still good on battery. Yeah, just overheat. Alright. So I mean, back to everything that we're talking about. Like, it's basically what happens is you have a trauma in your life, and
which we all do.
And it's not necessarily a trauma like you lost someone. It's just trauma like anything that impacted you where you don't feel like you can function normally. You take that, but you start from the beginning. Like, how did you get here? How did this all happen? Like, is it the boy? How did that development happen? Is it someone missing from your life? Is it something like that? Just start at that and start going through how you handled it and your decision points. Did you do this or this? Were you happy with how it happened? Did what happened, was it beneficial or detrimental? How would you change it? How could it get better? What would you have done that made it worse? Are you glad that you didn't do something? Like really analyzing each step of how it got there. Because what that does is tells you what your mentality is and how you think about it now. But as you go through those steps, you kind of understand like where did it go wrong? What my mentality is? Why was I thinking to do that in the first place? And you might not like what you see there, but now you know how to do it better in the future. But all of this is because what you're trying to do is stop analyzing this on your brain. Stop making your computer do all this stuff. Like outsource it or put it out into the cloud or put it out into a separate place so that your brain is not constantly running and thinking about all of these different outcomes. You've written it down, you've gotten out of your mind, and that load is just less. It's less and less as you continue.
When you avoid it, you're saying?
No, not when you avoid it. It's when you approach it.
When you approach it.
When you actually like take the time to analyze your steps and write it out and be honest. Because what you're doing when you're not doing the sort of writing exercises or like self-evaluation is you're still like subconsciously analyzing all like the past things that happened over the few years or like the things that were missing. And if you're not writing it down or like getting it out some way or like self-evaluating, it's really being heavy on your mind. You know, it's being extremely heavy on your mind, and you have to process that every day, on top of your job, on top of your personal life, on top of everything.
Yeah, I think it went out.
Yeah, it died. But continue.
Do you want to try this?
Yeah, we tried. I mean, yeah, continue.
Look, no, I mean, it's funny because when you were going over it, I was thinking about the last couple of years for me. You know, like Volt knows, I had a breakup with a girlfriend. It's really hard for me. I never felt like that before, to be honest. So, but I started doing some of that stuff that you were talking about. But I did it all mentally. I didn't write anything down. Yeah. But I went back into my head and said, how did I get here? What decisions did I make? What happened in my childhood? What happened, in my adolescence? What mistakes have I made? What do I want out of life? What am I doing now? And how did this decision that were my feelings and I'm hurt so bad emotionally, how did I get here? Because I know I don't want to feel like this. So I did all that mentally. But what's interesting to me, I haven't written it down. So I don't know if, like you're saying, that'll release a mental weight on me. I process it, daily in my free time. In, when I'm on the train, before I go to sleep, I go over, past events that have happened to me, past decisions that I've made. And it's interesting to me if it'll actually change things, me writing it down.
I think so. From what I've read and what I've heard from podcasts, is it does, because of the fact that you don't have to keep a log of what you're doing in each scenario, right? So if you're really branching out your things, it's still going to get complicated. Your brain has to keep track of all of those complex webs of decisions that you made and how you would approach it, to actually like 2 or 3, 4 levels of synaptic connections. However, if you write it down, you kind of can just forget about it and be like, if I actually need to reapproach this, I can go to chapter 2. So like, let's say like, oh, I'm in a similar situation as I was before. What did I think? Like, how did I get here? Like this is like before. Like you can identify that you've had a similar feeling or similar pathway to where you're going. You may see something that's going wrong. So like maybe you have already written that all down. So you're like, okay, I'm here. That sucked. And then I went back and like, when I was analyzing this, what did I say I would do better in this situation? Like. Right. Like maybe you needed to fight more, or maybe you needed to be less argumentative.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know. Okay, so I think I'm gonna try this. Hopefully, I make the time, I have the time. But the thing that I think though, or I look at life as, okay, I can evaluate what I did in the past, and I can evaluate if I'm in that situation again, what I'll do. But that situation will not be 100% like the past situation.
It won't be.
So maybe, that's why I think I try to keep everything here, so I can have that as a reference point, but also have like flexibility where, hey, things might be tweaked a little bit, but in general, I know that don't make this mistake again.
But I think even if you write that down, like you don't like, just because the signs say that it equals a certain number, it doesn't mean you have to believe it, right? Like you can just read the context, be like, at that point in my life, after I analyzed it, I thought this. Is there something different, or is it exactly the same, or do I need to modify this approach in a different way? And I think, but regardless, it's like you as a person, like what if you went into this like 3 years later? There's no way you're going to fully recollect everything that you went over. You might just start your evaluation process over again. However, if you had something that would be like, this is traumatic, if it's traumatic enough to write about, you can go back and be like, this is how I wish I handled it. Or like, this is what I was thinking before. It's still applicable.
I should have wrote this about trial and error with girls when I started hollering at girls. Like, hey, I said this, that didn't work. Like to this type of girl at work, to the other. Okay, so I got off subject, but I'm just saying it's kind of similar, right? Like you get better, like it's evolution.
This is some Barney Stinson shit where you just like trial and error on ways to hit on girls.
I'm just saying, no, no, that's what I thought about. No, I'm gonna, like I said, I think I'm gonna try that. Mm-hmm. What I've tried to do is I'm constantly kind of like, what do they call it when the cows chew on it? But like it's like vegetating, stewing on
masticating.
Is that what they call it?
Chewing.
And the cows,
like they're eating
when they chew the curd, or not the curd, but the
grass.
Yeah, and they just keep it right there.
Like chewing. It's
another word for it.
Masticating.
No, that sounds like sexual.
No, dude, that is words meaning chewing.
That's words. All right, we're looking at this right now. Hold on. That sounds weird, dog.
So it's the same as masturbate, but just replace the B with a C.
Okay. But that's not what it's called when the cows chew. Oh, maybe that's when the monkeys chew.
Just chewing in general.
Food is crushed and ground by teeth. No. Cows.
Chewing.
Cows. Oh, it says one of them was cows mastication.
See?
Cows.
I'm Google before Google.
Chewing cud. Is that what it's called? Yeah, that's what soft food is called, cud.
Isn't he chewing in his stomach?
Oh, it might be, but it's not called chewing. Right? What is cud and why do? All right, this is dumb. this is dumb.
I don't even want to.
What is cud and why do?
I didn't want to put any of this.
Chew it. Have you ever noticed that when you see a cow, it always seems to be chewing something? I haven't noticed, but I'm not around cows. The reason is because cows must chew their food twice in order to digest it properly. Cows spend nearly 8 hours out of every day chewing their cud. This plus normal chewing of food can total upwards of 40,000 jaw movements per day. That's almost what Superhead did in her
So if you really wanted to
ruminate, here we go. Cattle are ruminant animals. It's ruminate, isn't it?
I don't know. You didn't know what masticate is, so
this means that their stomach contains 4 departments. All right. We got enough of that.
We got here. We learned about cows.
And I fit in a Superhead reference, which
that's
I'm
pretty
like
messed up. I was going to say something.
Super proud of.
Okay.
But no, what I was going to say is I ruminate, if that's the right word, over my thoughts, my past, my future, my decisions over and over again. But what I try to do is make every decision as simple as possible, meaning focus on 3, 4, 5 pillars, which pretty much, if you do those things, surrounding yourself by positive people, having a positive attitude, working hard, constantly learning, those type of things, then you know that over time the odds are in your favor for good things to happen to you more than bad things.
So I mean, from like a programming perspective, the way that I see this is that, like, let's say that you have a set of rules, right? Based on whatever history, there's a set of rules, and if you want the computer to consider those rules in a dynamic sense, it's keeping that logic and running it over and over again. There's no reads. It's just the computer determining that. Like, it's kind of learning and then building that pattern, and it knows how you're doing. So let's say AIs is today. We'll guide them to learn certain things, or we'll guide them to learn certain actions and things like that. But when they are actually taking all that data, it's hopefully taking the optimal decision process and spitting out a proper answer, right? So like that's what all these companies are trying to do: automate their investments, automate their field service, automate all this crap. But the thing is, that requires a ton of bandwidth, a ton of resources to process. But if it's not complex, it doesn't need to learn from it. And I mean, you're gonna need to learn from it, but it's like more drawn out. Like if I just say like A equals B, C here, F here, like that stuff is explicit enough that it can be referenced. And even if you give them a diagram of this is what you should consider, and they still run those processes, it's easier there for them to do that rather than learn it and reevaluate it all in the same process. But if it can read from like something explicit, then it helps improve it. It's like the first time that an AI learned something,
right,
versus like the 87,000th time, 5 years later. It's seen so many processes that it has like data to run off of. But if it's just learning right now,
right,
it's
I think what you're talking about is reading, right? Like that's why, the Warren Buffetts of the world and Microsoft owner, Bill Gates of the world. Wow.
Stop hating on my city,
said if they if they had one superpower, it would be reading faster, right?
Yep.
Because through reading, we can go back in history and the best that we know how, get into the mind of the people who've made the exact same mistakes as you or very similar, and the people who've seen the exact same problems with you and accomplished or, figured it out successfully. So anyway, our minds are like those computers, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe writing is part of this too. We maybe would ask them, hey, what about writing? Would you include that as one of your superpowers? And maybe that kind of helps the brain store some of that stuff too. Mm-hmm. But look, life is a series of decisions combined with some curveballs or some cards that you might not have anticipated being dealt. But then the only thing we can do is make decisions along that journey, right? And if something looks familiar and you can speed your process of getting to where you want to get to by knowing the answer before the test, you're going to do a lot better. And I think that's why we see, the sons and daughters of people who have been successful in certain places. Maybe genetics is involved too, but, they start getting the answers a lot earlier. So, I think that's all part of I think that's all part of life. I think when we started this, we're relating to negative people, right?
We transitioned from that, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean...
We started off with Amazon.
Yeah. But I think if it goes, going back to negative people, when I was a child, maybe I didn't know the effect that certain people were having on me.
True.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you just listen.
Yeah. When you're a child, you just, it's just different. But now, maybe as a grown man, I'm like, maybe I just now realized, hey, such and such is having a negative effect on me. Like, I'm actually having like emotional, like I'm upset.
Yeah.
About her life, about his life, like about what they said.
Oh my God, when you're upset about people you don't even know, oh my God.
Then you got to start to question, well, maybe this was an emotion I didn't know how to recognize when I was a teenager or even in my 20s or whatever. Like, well, maybe now I'm just seeing the light. So my decision, though it's something I would have never done back then in terms of like letting people go or moving on and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe now that I know better, I got to do better. You know what I mean? And this is the first time, and this because we talked about this a couple of times. This is the first time I thought about it like that. But that actually makes me feel better. Because maybe I didn't make that decision 10 years ago. But maybe if I knew what I knew now, I'd have been like, I don't know if we're the best of friends. And that hurts me too, but...
It sucks, but...
Because obviously I've grown since I was a kid. I know more now.
I mean, I think it's always worth the try with people, but like if they're not willing to be helped at the moment, then you can't do anything. It's like if you take a scientific approach, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he said, "How do you like?" Joe Rogan asked, "How do I fight people that are like beyond help, like flat earthers?" He's like, "I don't fight people. I ask them, what do you need to hear for you to believe this?"
Sure.
And then if I provide that information to you and you still doubt it, then I can't talk to you. And I think it's the same thing with people. If I try to help you and I'm trying to make you see the light and I've been here for you all this time, but you still would rather drag me through the dirt and punch me and like bring me down with you and not see these options I'm giving you, then maybe it's it's not something I can help you with at the moment. I hope that you get there, but like once you're there, I will be helpful for you. I will bring you up into the clouds if necessary. But if you're trying to make me come down with you, like I don't want to do that same thing and drag down a friend that I know. Like it can chain react, and I think that's bad. And I think if you really are honest, if you think that you can't help them right now, just don't help them right now. Help them when they're ready.
Man, you're preaching right now, man. We could go on about this in relationships for a while.
I mean, at max we can we can keep talking for 15 minutes, but
okay.
I'm not trying to make this first talk like forever time.
Yeah, no, maybe we need to split this into two because we've already gone 2 hours.
I'm gonna split it into sections now because we went longer than I expected.
Like 2 hours.
I thought my shit was gonna die in like 20 minutes, but we got decent parts. But yeah, I mean, if you think what do you think? What time is it?
No, I was just saying.
It's still early before we actually make it out. That's 9:30 is whatever.
Caitlin said she wanted to do something.
Let's do it.
But then she got mad because I didn't respond, and I was like, "Hey, I'm filming a podcast."
Just be like, "Yo, we're doing fancy shit."
She probably she probably thinks I'm bullshit and didn't respond. But oh man, this is life, man. Whoa. You're talking.
Well, I mean, it's life. It's
talk.
literally life because it's like stuff that is really applicable at the moment, right?
Yeah, man.
Because I mean, like, I think like we're both in the ways like things in certain situations suck, but we also deal with the same thing of like we're not trying to make that suck like everyone else's suck.
Of course.
And like in fact, like even though things may suck, like we're not. Like,
I mean, who hasn't had something in their life that sucks, right?
Yeah. Like when I bring in the scheme of things and my friends that are struggling and like the people that have struggled, like where does my issue lie on theirs? And I have had some friends that had some serious stuff, and like I gotta put that underneath. So it's like not worth saying all that stuff. Just like I just be understanding of like I'll be weak on a few nights, but like otherwise don't even worry about me. Like You got some more real stuff, and if you need help, I'll be there for you.
Of course. And I think, and that maybe is one of the reasons why we're friends, hopefully one of many, but like, if you're going through something and I am aware enough to know that my negativity, no matter how justified, is a burden on your life.
Yeah.
It may be a burden that you're willing to take on, but it's still a burden. So I can only ask you so many times, when I evaluate myself to help with such and such.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's an evaluation of people, right? You're evaluating like the situation and the worth of everything. Like, but some people are blinded by that though. Not that, but like they don't consider the outside. They're like
they're more selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're selfish in a bad situation for them. Like we would all feel sympathetic.
Yeah.
But they're more like, hey, like I feel bad. Like you're my friend, you need to help me. Whereas I'm more like, I feel bad, but I don't want to fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
So like, man, sometimes I might need to holler at you or whatever, but I'm gonna just stay over here until I work this out. Mm-hmm. But then maybe that's kind of why we are hopefully moving out of that, because then I'm like, okay, shit, like I feel bad. But is this actually a natural part of life? A breakup, even a death, different things like that. Is this a natural part of life? Like, is this something that everybody deals with? Or yes, maybe. And there's certain things that not everybody deals with. Mm-hmm. But okay, how do I need to deal with it? That's the next question after like, hey, this isn't good for me and this isn't good for the people that I care about. Because that's how that goes back to the like core things. Like, is this good for me? And that's actually a question that I've added to my mental register within the last couple of years, which is a shame, right? And is this good for the people that I care about? And then you get to next questions and stuff.
But yeah, I mean, that stuff is just I think it's just they need to be ready, and like understand like what everything that is said has an action or result or something from it. Like, it's taxing on everybody.
Oh yeah,
it's taxing on everyone. And it's like, we'll definitely be there anytime, but like, it's gotta be real with it. And the thing is, like, when I have issues, like, I mean, I know that sometimes I don't, but like, for most of the times, if I come to talk to you and I'm like sad about a girl or family or something at work, I'm gonna talk to you at least, like, even if I don't come with a solution, I'll at least talk to you about like what you think like will help me, and I'll take your word as much as I can, as I'm willing to accept. I might not really agree with you, but I'll definitely take some pieces of it, because I think until you're willing to do that, you still think too highly of yourself, or you're not being honest with yourself about what happened, and you need to be. I think at one point I wasn't. I feel like I was denying it, putting blame somewhere else. But I think right now, like, I feel like I understand my actions, I understand what happened to me, and I understand all these things that I can determine whether or not I need to tell my friend or something. I mean, again, drunkenness and other things might affect that, and I might get weak on different times. But like, generally, I come with some sort of solution, or come with some sort of mentality that I want to solve things, rather than just try to dump on my friend, because I still care about that friend.
Right.
Like, despite I know that I'm in the place,
right,
I still care about you enough that I will make sure that I come with you with something constructive.
Right. I don't want to be the misery loves company person.
Yeah, because that person's rough.
I don't want to be that person. So I think that's good. Like, that's a good way to end it. You don't want to be the misery loves company person.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy or girl. Don't be that person. So
yeah.
Look, I think we covered a lot in this.
Yeah, I think next time we'll figure it out. But I think that's a good time. That's a good time.
Yeah, this was fun. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about, so maybe we got to do this again soon. So
I mean, the sun went down.
Yeah. So I guess this is Volt. This is Jason.
This is Volt. That's Jason.
Checking in, checking out.
What's your handle though?
My handle though, J.Carter, WFU, as in Wake Forest University. Yeah, that's pretty much it. J.Carter, WFU, on everything. So.
And all the professional things are Volt Aquino, and all the things that I don't want other people to see, like Snapchat and YouTube. It's Utmostcoin.
Well, everybody's gonna see it now.
I don't know.
Or nobody's gonna see it. So, yeah.
Anyway, appreciate you just sticking out.